And lastly, for the 2024 saga of Aguilar's 2024 journey, we have The Gifted Original Sin. This is simply an incredible display of a Las Vegas atmosphere from start to finish. And it's simply incredible to revisit the harsh tone of its early 70s ways in the beginning scenes, which just recalls plenty of the violent atmosphere of Martin Scorsese's depiction of Casino with a raw sense of just the violent sort of tone, very intense. Then it jumps to more of a present time, which displays again, I look in the 70s, just like man getting a massage and the torture scene gradually unfolds with all kinds of detail oriented beats around such a harsh environment. The characters displayed, it was a chef year in The Gifted, and all of this. And then you get the present time, and that's where Ginger Lynn Allen is. She's seen out in the middle of a desert atmosphere, this man. And it seems like the moment I started to expand his brand of surrealism into David Lynch territory. And the desert scenes just remind me a lot of the moments in Casino as well, between whenever Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci are fussing. And it just seems like it's a wonderfully lonely, isolating moment, which reveals itself as about as equally surreal as Justin Theroux encountering a cowboy of a Mulholland Drive. And all this is directed in a very original sort of way, distinctive to Aguilar's filmography, as Alan just kind of mocks this elderly man who's looked strange, isolated in this way. That strangely makes me feel bad for him and how humiliating the entire sequence is. And it also reminds me a lot of a Sergio Leone kind of moment, how slow paced it is and how much attention to detail there is in all of this. And this original brand of hazy surrealism at display. Alan then just gets into this party with Jennifer Pearl. They sit at the bar, counter Jim Casterline. You enjoy the scenes of encountering the musical montage and display, which that's the trademark of Aguilar's filmography. I love the display of Your Dirty Mind by the Bones and all of this. It's a really good scene. Just Pearl and Alan just kind of living it up. Casterline's just this Elvis impersonator. Like it's a blast all throughout. Then she later wakes up, kind of just at this unconscious sort of party. And soundtrack just gets very intense in ways. It kind of feels like there's a lot of Rosemary's Baby influence going into there. And then Joe Casterline's kind of the ultimate party man in this, really, just as an Elvis kind of impersonator. There's a very offbeat scene which revolves around moving clothing. There's a few of those, like especially as well as the scene now out in the desert. It's like moving the clothes, and it feels like in one case it was disturbing. In this case, it's more of a party sense, having fun. And the Casterline just reminds me a lot of a character you see in the film like Fear of Living in Las Vegas. It's a very Terry Gilliam-esque in a lot of ways. I love all these music montage sequences. They all just really hold up quite fantastic. And I think Sullivan, I love all these scenes build up towards meeting Lynn and Pearl. The backdrop of the guitar playing in the background, which makes for a very satisfying sort of Western sort of build up and influence and a slow pace that reminds me a lot of like final moments of Kill Bill Volume 2 as well, scenes of one battle after another, which is, I love the scenes of like Kill Bill Volume 2. I think like Uma Thurman meeting David Careen as the atmosphere displays build up to meeting Sullivan and this sort of ghostly sort of figure. He presents the scenario and this kind of graduates into a meltdown, very surreal kind of meltdown. And the soundtrack is just very subtle. It's incredibly eerie as she claims to have been abandoned. The soundtrack just has this sort of new wave element to it in this scene, which is wonderfully reflects on Sullivan's darkly whimsical perspectives until it just gets full on disturbing. And they end up getting this nightmare scenario, which builds up the Casterline in the car, which reminds me so much of the final scenes of Tony Covington. He comes to kill. I strongly recall of that in a sort of upgraded sort of way. And I wonder if it just takes a long time for it to be established, about like 14 minutes to get to the opening credit sequences. I think that's really stunning to get to that. Again, a lot of the it's always exciting when projects do that in its own way. It gives it a sense of energy. Again, energy about it. It's very youthful. That's how Aguilar has about this project. There's a lot of youthful energy. Reminds me a lot of like my favorite Russian, like Martin Scorsese, and all of this really holds up from start to finish.